This episode is brought to you by Viticulture International Academy, the toughest Italian wine program. 1,000 candidates have produced 262 Italian wine ambassadors to date. Next courses in Hong Kong, Russia, New York, and Verona. Think you make the cut? Apply now at viticultureinternational.com.
Welcome to our special SOS Everybody Needs a Bit of Scienza installment. This is a shout out to all the wine geeks out there. We need some feedback on the Professore's new book, the English version of Jumbo Shrimp Guide to the Origins, Evolution, and Future of the Grapevine. The Italian Wine Podcast is part of the Mama Jumbo Shrimp brand, and Mama Jumbo Shrimp is all about breaking down difficult concepts into small, bite-sized pieces. The issue here is that the new book is, well, a bit difficult to chew at this point, so we want to invite wine lovers out there to give us their input and advice to make the final product more reader-friendly. So have at it, wine lovers. Don't be shy. Send your comments to info@italianwinepodcast.com. Now on to the show.
Hello, everybody. My name is Stevie Kim, and welcome to the Italian Wine Podcast. This is a special installment of a new series. It's called Reading. It's a reading with Richard Hulf. Is that correct? I will get that.
Good enough for me, yes.
Yeah, I'll get that right sooner or later. He will be reading. I don't know if you guys have been following us. If you haven't, check out our past installments of the reading of a new book. We haven't got a title yet for Professor Attilio Scienza's new book about racism and vine grapes. So, Richard, what will you be reading for us today?
Okay, well, this one is from chapter 7 of the book, and it's basically taking a really deep dive into the origins of the grape species.
Okay, alrighty, take it away, Richard.
For the renowned British naturalist Alfred Wallace, an important prerequisite for determining the region of origin of a particular species was the availability of fossils from the tertiary period. The genus Vitis possesses this prerequisite as evidenced by the extensive paleontological evidence of pre-vinifera leaf imprints found in northern Europe, which are considered sufficiently evolved in an adaptive sense with well-studied taxonomic relationships. The origin of the vine and its biological evolution are singularly linked to two dramatic events in the history of the planet: mass extinctions and the separation of the continents. The so-called mass extinctions were catastrophic events that led to significant losses of plant and animal diversity. At least 5 major mass extinctions are known to have occurred. Those involving the vine, at least indirectly, occurred about 250 million years ago in the Permian-Triassic period, and again about 60 million years ago during the Cretaceous-Paleocene period. The third extinction event can be attributed to a series of massive volcanic eruptions that caused a dramatic change in the Earth's climatic conditions, with consequent increases in carbon dioxide and ozone concentration. The fifth extinction, which saw the disappearance of the dinosaurs, occurred in the Cretaceous period and was caused by the impact of a huge meteorite on the Yucatan Peninsula. The dust cloud that arose from the impact obscured the sun, preventing the photosynthesis of plants and leading to a devastating famine for the dinosaur population. Tectonic movement during the Cretaceous period triggered the phenomenon of continental drift. From the fracturing of Pangaea, the giant supercontinent, which began 200 million years ago, two great land masses, Laurasia and Gondwana, were formed, as well as the great mountain ranges of the Alps, the Andes, and the Pyrenees. The first effect of the separation of the continents was to interrupt the integrity of the Rhamnales, an order of plants to which the Viticulture family belonged. The evolutionary paths of the genera were subsequently separated as they had to adapt to the climatic characteristics of the newly formed environments in which they found themselves, creating new taxa. About 50 to 60 million years ago, on the threshold of the Tertiary or Cenozoic period, the climate in northern Europe was almost tropical. with coral reefs, flora and fauna comparable to the warmest areas of the Earth in the current era. In this climatic phase, the Viticulture family of plants were mostly represented by the genus Cissus, to which the genus Vitis is related. The climatic conditions gradually became hotter and drier, pushing the vine species north, where the increased humidity encouraged the formation of vast forests which were more favourable to the vine, because they offered structural support to the tendrils, allowing the plant to climb. The fossil remains of vines in the form of the leaf imprints found in the marl of Champagne and in the clays of Silesia are amongst the most ancient to be discovered, belonging to the Eocene strata of the early Tertiary period. These findings in northern Europe testify to the origin of genus Vitis from a more ancient species. About 35 million years ago, in the middle of the Cenozoic, the changing ocean currents, whose courses were modified by the separation of the continents, caused the climate to cool down. As a result, the flora took on different characteristics, with the development of deciduous trees and the establishment of distinct seasonal variations. By the end of this era, the features of the tropical climate had disappeared. In the deposits of the Laramie Formation in northeastern Colorado and in the lignite mines of Central Europe, fossil leaves identified as belonging to genus Vitis have also been found. The fossil remains are numerous, exceeding 300 sites. In central Italy and southern France, the remains are even more significant, dating back to the Pliocene epoch, up to 5.3 million years ago. The great genetic variety was decimated by the significant glaciations of the Quaternary period, which gradually pushed the only surviving vine species, Vitis vinifera, to the southernmost locations. A certain persistence of Vitis vinifera has also been proven in the interglacial periods, with a great number of instances in the Caucasian basin and in the mountains of Asia, due to the shorter duration of the cold phases and the elevated position of the refuge sites. The leaf imprints of these plants can be considered a transition between the American and the Asian type of Vitis vinifera. In particular, the secondary ribs and the shape of the lamina show a clear resemblance to those of fossilized and living American vine species. The wild forms of Vitis vinifera in Europe are therefore relics of the flora of the Tertiary period that were saved from the destruction wrought by the ice during the interglacials, by birds interested in their berries, guaranteeing continuity of the genetic flow by relocating the species to different latitudes. Okay, I'm going to pause at that point. That's the midway point in chapter 7. But if you want, we can continue with the rest of that.
Okay,
that
why don't you go? It's only 7 minutes into the part, so
okay.
I think you can continue.
Okay.
If they haven't fallen asleep yet.
Okay. Compared to 18,000 years ago, global sea levels have risen by about 120 metres. This process has dramatically affected the climate, the evolution, and the migration of flora, fauna, and human species. It has been the starting point for the construction of the current landscape morphology and for the delimitation of the existing continental boundaries, previously connected but now separated by extended waterways, such as the Beringia, which became the Bering Strait. Some recent finds of leaves and fossil clusters in Lecinia, in the Val d'Alpone in northern Italy, have reignited interest in the territory in relation to the origin of the vine. In the mid-1800s, fossil remains, leaves and rachis with berries, of a genus with an uncertain taxonomic identity were found in the limestone of the Tertiary period, with many morphological similarities to the vine cultivated today. Together with the imprint of the leaf, the imprint of a fruiting cluster was also found, in the form of a stalk to which berries were attached. The remains belong to a genus of vine that had disappeared during the Quaternary glaciations about 2.5 million years ago. This paleontological evidence, together with the remains of tropical plants such as the fig, eucalyptus, and even coconuts, confirm the existence of a tropical climate. Also noteworthy is the discovery of the belemnite rostrum, squid-like creatures that lived during the Jurassic period. Such fossils are commonly found in the Champagne marls and have an important paleontological significance. These remains, however, are very different to those from northern Europe and those from central Italy, and are more typical of those from temperate regions such as North America. Unlike the cluster of the current Viticulture, which usually have a more or less elongated shape, the Cissus have round clusters, as the length of the second and third axis of the main stems are very similar to each other, giving the cluster a globular shape. Furthermore, the axis of the flower bunches are much more elongated than those of a cluster of genus Vitis. These remains could perhaps represent a link between the Cissus and the Vitis in a geological phase between the Paleocene and the Eocene, 65 to 55 million years ago, during which the continents were still connected but had just begun the process of continental drift, which would lead in the Tertiary era to the current continental situation. This would have allowed the coexistence in Europe of American and Eurasian varieties that remained throughout the Paleocene, with the exchange of plant and animal forms between Europe and North America, which was possible thanks to the presence of a continental mass in the area currently occupied by the northern portion of the Atlantic Ocean. To confirm the common origin of American and European vines, recent research on the phylogeny of the genus Vitis suggests that the centre of origin for the genus was in the New World. This would suggest that the species migrated to Eurasia during the late Eocene, about 40 million years ago. It is hypothesized that the land bridges of the North Atlantic were the most plausible route for migration from North America to Eurasia, thus overturning the hypothesis previously formulated that suggested the spread of the genus Vitis went in the opposite direction. With the end of the last glaciation and the emergence of climatic conditions similar to the current ones, with 4 distinct seasons, the genus Vitis was common to both Europe and America, and the only climatic changes of the late Miocene and Pliocene caused the fragmentation and isolation of the diverse populations. In fact, fossil remains in Poland, Denmark, and Great Britain testify to the existence of grapevines in the Quaternary period in northern Europe, during times that were presumably characterized by mild winters and high summer temperatures. In the final phases of the Tertiary era, the Earth cooled cyclically, and during the last glaciation, in particular the Riss glaciation and the Würm glaciation, almost all the northern species of vine disappeared. In Europe, only one species remained, Vitis vinifera, while in North America and East Asia, the glacial survivors were more numerous. The earliest vines, similar to the European vine that we know today, emerged in the Pliocene, and during the glacial pulsations, the area of origin was fragmented into 2 glacial refugia, one Mediterranean and the other Caucasian. During the Quaternary glaciations, European vine populations were probably isolated in southern refugia in the Iberian Peninsula, in Italy, and in the Caucasus. The distribution of these populations and the modern biogeographic evidence confirmed by the DNA analysis suggests a subsequent recolonization during more recent ice ages.
Okay, great. This is all chapter 7?
That was chapter 7, yeah.
Okay. So is this kind of the length of each chapters, more or less, or?
Yes.
It's still missing a bit, right? You said you chopped it up and to beginning and the end, and then it's kind of missing the middle.
Yeah, that's a slightly abridged version, just taking out some of the heavier references and footnotes, but that is more or less.
Okay. So, I mean, the purpose of our reading episode installments is so that we can get some feedback from our audience. What would you like to ask them to do?
Well, yeah, just to reach out either by email or through our social media channels, and just let us know what they think about the content and subject matter of this book. If there's anything that they're enjoying about it, if there's anything that they think we can do to improve that, or even if it's just something that they have any interest in.
Yes, we just want to make sure that we get the best in the best possible format and language for the readers at large, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're conscious that it's quite a technical topic, so we're keen to understand from our audience if we've pitched this at the right level of technical expertise or whether we need to simplify that further or not.
Absolutely. Okay, here we go then. It's a wrap. This was another reading of special editions of Everybody Needs a Bit of Scienza with Richard Hoff, who has translated Attilio Scienza's very, very dense language into something a little bit more decipherable. And also, he's at the editing process. So this is an outreach series where we would like to get some feedback from our audience. Please write directly to us. I believe info@italianwinepodcast.com, and just put on the subject, Attention Richard. Okay, and then that'll get to him in some way. So that's it for now. Don't forget to follow us on Mama Jumbo Shrimp. You know, we have a new video channel which accompanies Italian Wine Podcast. It's called Mama Jumbo Shrimp. That's right. You heard it right. Mama Jumbo Shrimp. We also have a TikTok channel, Pinterest, and Italian Wine Podcast Instagram, Mama Jumbo Shrimp Instagram. We're all over the social media. So please get in touch with us and subscribe if you can. Okay then. Thank you again. Ciao ragazzi, and see you next time. Ciao, Richard.
Ciao, goodbye. Thank you.
Okay, goodbye.
Listen to the Italian Wine Podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We're on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Himalaya FM, and more. Don't forget to subscribe and rate the show. If you enjoy listening, please consider donating through ItalianWinePodcast.com. Any amount helps cover equipment, production, and publication costs. Until next time, chin chin.
Hi guys, I'm Joy Livingston and I am the producer of the Italian Wine Podcast. Thank you for listening. We are the only wine podcast that has been doing a daily show since the pandemic began. This is a labor of love and we are committed to bringing you free content every day. Of course, this takes time and effort, not to mention the cost of equipment, production, and editing. We would be grateful for your donations, suggestions, requests, and ideas. For more information on how to get in touch, go to ItalianWinePodcast.com.